Okay, today we're going to be multiplying rational numbers. And really all you have to do is remember the rules and then figure out how to multiply decimals or how to multiply fractions. So in this case, how do I multiply fractions? You multiply the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. So in this case, it's 1 times 3 is 3 and 2 times 4 is 8. But wait a minute, it's a positive times a negative. So our answer is negative. Okay, and the next one we have some mixed numbers. What do we do with mixed numbers? We change them to improper fractions. So we do 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 2 on the top is 8. So we have negative 8 thirds, times 4 times 4 is 16, plus the 3 on the top is 19. So it's 19 fourths. And make sure you keep that negative. Now, there's two ways you can do this problem. You could do numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. You'll get some pretty big numbers. But what if you could simplify before you multiply? What we're doing is we're going to find a common factor that exists both in the numerator and the denominator. Well, if I look 8 and 4, what do they have in common? 4 will go into both of them. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So what we really did is we divided both the numerator and the denominator by 4. We simplified before we multiply. Now it makes the numbers a little bit easier. Well, 2 times 19, I know that one, it's 38, over 3 times 1, which is 3, and that's a negative times a negative. Well, what's a negative times a negative? It's a positive. Okay, now let's try this one out. It's a negative times a negative, so we know the answer is going to be positive. So how do we do decimals? Well, we simply write them down and we multiply it. 3 times 6 is 18, carry my 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 1 on top is 10. 2 times 6 is 12, carry my 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 1 on top is 7. 8, 2, 8. Notice I have 2 numbers behind the decimal, which means my answer has 2 numbers behind the decimal. Another one to think about is this one's really about 4, this one's really about 2. 4 times 2 is 8. So my answer should be somewhere near 8. Hey, 8.28. That's pretty good. Okay, this last one. This is going to be an example of when it's a good idea to simplify before you multiply. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. Now watch this. I'm going to eliminate some common factors. 2 and 2 have a 2 in common. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 and 3 have a 3 in common. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Now, these numbers are much easier to work with. 1 times 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 1 times 4, 4. But will my answer be negative or positive? Well, in this case, I know a negative times a negative equals a positive. And then I bring down this negative. Positive times a negative, that's a negative. Another way to think of it is there's an odd number of negatives. That'll make the answer negative. So that's how you multiply rational numbers.